Because Olivia got places to be.
Places to
Ladies,
be and people to
you
see.
know, so
Yes.
ladies and gentlemen, we are now live. Um, Floyd Marshall, a conversation with, and thank you so much for joining myself and the returning guest, Omega Keys, one of my favorite folk. And today we also have her co-star or star of her hit film on Prime Video,
Yes.
Fractured. And ladies and gentlemen, just let me say that I watched this yesterday with my wife, and as a filmmaker, and as someone who used to write, but I'm a very big study of film. I knew what was going on, but then me and my wife kind of started having discussions because then we weren't really sure. But then we were like, yeah, that's that. Yeah, no, I don't know. But we were going back and forth, and then I said, you know what? Yeah. Now I'm not going to tell you what I saw because I want you to go on Amazon Prime and push that button and rent the movie. So I'm going to do my best to talk to these two phenomenal young ladies without giving any spoilers because I don't want you sitting there saying, well, shoot, Floyd already told me about this, so I ain't going to go rent it. No, we want you to go rent it. But before we do that, again, this is a conversation with Floyd Marshall Jr., and I'm your humble host. And welcome to the show. Hi, Marion. Thank you so much for joining us. And today I'm joined by Omegia Keeys, the writer of Fractured, and Tinesha Lynn, that's my niece's name, Tinesha Lynn, the star of Fracture. Ladies, welcome to the show. How y'all doing?
Wonderful.
Hey, wonderful,
Always
wonderful, wonderful.
wonderful.
Wow, wow, wow. So again, yeah, we watched this and interesting. So Omega, where did the idea for this film come from?
Well, I love a good thriller.
Mhm.
So, I am a big fan of, Twilight Zone, Alfred Hitchcock, all of that. But, I wanted to touch on some things in our community that we really don't hit on, or if they are talked about, it's just kind of brushed over like, yeah, this happened, but
Mhm.
that isn't the reason this person is like this.
Right.
So we can talk about the mental illness aspect of it, because I had an aunt that she suffered from a mental illness. We're not going to talk about the mental illness, what it is, but she suffered from a mental illness. So I always kind of wanted to do something to loosely tell her story.
Mm.
Okay, okay. And how
It's
long
not
did
her
it
story, but
Okay,
it's
right.
that, yeah, touching on it.
Something close to it. And how long did it take you guys to shoot this?
Oh, we shot it in 6 days.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? That's
Organization is key.
that's phenomenal.
Organization
That's
beforehand. That
That
prep beforehand.
that was
that's
definitely,
phenomenal.
it was so well organized that it was just easy to get through all of these scenes because everything was so detailed, mapped out. We had everything in advance. We knew what to do.
Hmm. So Omega, one of the things that you did now, so I'm going to talk about some of the things in the film, and sex trafficking is one of the things that I want to talk about.
Yeah.
It's something that it's not really talked about in our community. And what was one of the reasons that you wanted to tackle that subject? Because again, girls go missing, but they don't really talk about the fact that sex trafficking could be one of the reasons that they go missing.
Oh, because they call us fast. They call us, whatever. They're just out there. Even when you see a young girl on the streets, I'm in Atlanta. So
Mhm.
I see young girls out there that kind of look homeless, but they also kind of look like they're about that street life. And, when you're looking at their age, they're not out there on their own.
Mm,
They're being trafficked, but now, they would be like, oh, people would just call her a hoe instead of saying that this is a victim of sex trafficking.
mhm.
People
Mm-hmm.
don't look at it like that. They completely, when it comes to sex trafficking, we get completely ignored. we're always labeled as runaways. We're always labeled as, whatever. But I wanted to show that because Atlanta is a hub. My producing partner, she is a sex trafficking advocate, Kathy. So it was just something that I really, really wanted to include in there as well. And then how do you overcome that?
Right.
Wow. So
That's
let's talk about the cat. No, please, Tanisha, you were about to say something, please.
No, I'm in total agreement because it's always looked at like she said, the girl is out there, she's just out there, she's not supervised, she's not this, she's not that. But these girls are lured into situations and actually and they have to be kept quiet or else lives are gone. You know,
Mm,
there's a lot of compromised situations going on in here. And working in the hotel industry years ago, we saw a lot of this coming in. We saw
mm,
the girl sitting next to an older gentleman who we knew wasn't her father. We got the letters, and there's moments where you had to save that life, whether you realized it was that situation, whether you didn't know the situation or not, you still felt it. You still
mm.
that it wasn't right.
Wow.
You know.
So let's talk about the casting because you had some interesting people. So when you began casting, I mean, exactly what were you looking for when you began your search for your talent?
Well, the hardest part was finding Ava because Ava had to play so like her character is multi-layered.
Hmm.
So it had to be someone that can be this hardworking. You can believe her as being a businesswoman, but you can also, believe that she could flip that switch too.
Hmm.
So it had to be a very, very strong actress that can hold it. And then I also needed somebody that can, balance her in Olivia,
Okay.
that they're believable as sisters who are at odds, that they mesh together really, really well. And we had actually cast Brittany prior to casting Tanisha,
Hmm.
because I just still it was a holdout for me for that.
Yeah.
I almost thought about pushing the project,
Mhm.
but Kathy had already worked with Tanisha on something else. And she was like, she has a beautiful spirit, a beautiful soul. So, of course, that was easy to bring it in. And of course, Marion, if you watch any of my other projects, if anybody has watched any of my projects, Marion is always in there. Marion has been my day one person. So I don't care what we're doing, big or small, Marion is going to be in there somewhere. So that was a no-brainer for that one. But Mike had actually, the character Mike had
Hmm.
actually played Mike when I had a short film before I expanded it to the world that it is now,
Hmm.
and spoke more about the sex trafficking and all of that in there, and completely flipped it. I revised the whole story. As writers, we're constantly changing and revising. But Mike had played Mike in the short story. So I knew that he could carry that because, at the end, his world completely changes.
Mhm.
So he was
Yeah. Because I'm
Exactly.
sitting there looking at the mom. That wasn't my place to say. I'm like, chick, are you sick? Really?
right. You want
Now
to
we
fight
jumping
her. You
ahead, but
almost want to fight
since
her.
you mentioned it, we jumping
Right.
way
Yeah.
ahead. But since you mentioned it,
There's something.
Yeah.
that wasn't my place to tell. I'll be like, you know what? Let me explain something about what ain't your place to tell. Oh
Right.
boy, wow, yeah. But that
Yeah.
was this movie was really interesting. But Tanisha,
Yes.
so how did you hear about the casting call, and when you saw the breakdown for the role, what drew you to it?
Uh, the many layers, the layers of this girl. So I got I got put onto the role by Kathy,
Hmm.
and she was like, "You need to audition," but she was like, "I know you're capable of doing it because you're used to playing multi characters, so
Hmm.
you can do this." So got a piece of the script, and I was like, "Oh my goodness." I just love the flip, the twist, the plots, the everything that came along with it. And I was like, well, let's go. Because my niche is to play various characters. That is my thing. I love character analysis, I love character breakdown, I love transitioning characters. And so when I saw the script, I was like, I gotta get this. I have to be prepared. I have to go in here and I gotta get this role. He was like,
I know
I
that's
can't
right.
disappoint Kathy because she believed in me enough to be here to do it. And so um But back to your question, yeah. When I saw the breakdown, I was like, wow, this girl has to have many different layers, and it went so
Mhm.
much deeper than what I thought. Once I got the entire script, I was like, wow, because she's starting off in the corporate world, and without giving it away, there's this huge transition, and finding relatable things to bring to that was definitely something that I had to really tap into on a personal level.
Mhm.
And the fact that I had a script that gave me that, the ability to be able to do that, was just phenomenal. There was no way I wasn't going to try to take this to the max.
Okay. So let's talk about your preparation because again, I'm not this is hard because there are so many things I want to say that I can't because I want people to go to Prime Video and rent Fractured the movie by Omegia Keys. So I can't there's so much I want to say that I can't say. There's some questions that I want to ask that I can't,
Mhm.
but your preparation, Tanisha, you get such an in-depth role. And if anyone has ever acted, when you do something along the lines of the role you played, it takes a lot out of you. So, what was your preparation like? And how did you go about doing that because it was such a demanding role?
The first thing that I did, when I got the script, the entire script, I honestly had to break um, Ava apart from Ava without
Mm,
because she plays such her transitioning from being this corporate woman to um, being someone that her husband is concerned about. I really had to take those words and break it down and make it relatable to my own experiences, being that I've worked in the corporate world and being that I've had experiences in my past that weren't growing up that were relatable to Ava.
mhm.
And really tapping into exactly what was happening, what was going on, and then knowing people that have gone through some of these experiences as well, um, was how I was able to just kind of break down my character and get the analysis done. I think character analysis is so important, and actors and actresses aren't doing it. It's just such a demise to your whole skill set. You have to know what you if you don't understand what that director meant, you need to ask. If you don't understand why they wrote what they wrote, you need to ask, because every single word from the and to the to the why is such an important, intriguing concept to the entire story. And what I loved about Mimi is she was open for us to be able to ask her, hey, can you enlighten me a little bit on this is what I'm reading. Um, she was open to sharing and letting us know, yeah, this is what this is what this is. And you want it, I can't say the whole thing, but you wanted to bring that what her vision out. um but you have to do your character analysis, you have to do your breakdown, you have to find something that's relatable, and if it's not relatable, you need to study. you need
Yeah,
you need to see what's happening in the world, what's happening around you, to be able to feel, even have a small feeling of how this relates to you and how it would relate to you. God forbid you were put in any kind of situation like that. How would you handle it? Um,
yeah.
so yeah, yeah, the script was just
Okay, okay. So
But
your character. Now I will say this: your character has multiple personalities,
yeah,
and we saw your twin.
yes,
How was the dynamic on set when you were filming your scenes by yourself, but not by yourself, if you understand what I'm saying?
yeah. I
So
think
so what was the dynamic when you were basically playing against yourself, your twin?
my twin. Oh, you know what? I will say this. Brittany made this so easy to do. I think because let me just say the casting was off the chain, because our chemistry and vibe was already just on point. So we were walking in sometimes with the same colors on, same
Mm,
on, and it made it so much easier for us to be able to tap into one another authentically, that we honestly just, it kind of, maybe if I'm not mistaken, it kind of just became this.
mm.
We
yeah,
kind of authentically
they were
became.
literally walking around the set saying, "Hey, twin, we gotta get my
Wow.
twin. I gotta get my twin." And when the other one wasn't on camera, they
Mhm.
stayed to watch and they stayed to care for the other person. It's like they were inseparable. It was amazing for me to see. Floyd, I want to bring up this one thing. At the beginning, there's a scene where she's when Tanisha Ava, she gets up, about her daily routine, and she's standing there at herself in that mirror, and she's
Mhm.
giving herself them affirmations to get
Mhm.
herself to. It's like, okay, girl, let's pull yourself together. It's like she was speaking to all women out there, and therefore she was speaking to her twin as well, who wasn't there.
Mhm.
Because that's that get up in the morning and pull your stuff together
So
Mhm.
and
together
let's go.
you
And
are.
that, to me, I think that set the tone of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Uh,
and in all honesty, that you, excuse me, now that you mentioned that, she was also speaking to her sister.
That's why I said she was speaking to her twin.
You
She's
know what I'm
speaking to all
saying?
women, but
Right.
specifically to her
So,
twin. Yeah.
yep.
hey, look, I know things are not going the way you want right now, but if you just do this, if you just keep at it, and that again is an interesting dynamic, because when we talk about mental illness, one of the aspects of it, doing what I do, I see things like this daily. I see this all the time. So for us, it may be imaginary, but for the people in the midst of it, it is as real as us talking to each other right now. And that was the interesting thing about this movie, the fact that you had an entire ensemble that you were dealing with, because the one gentleman, well, let me ask you this really quickly. This was a very demanding role. The one scene that really stood out to me was when you were being held captive and you were being hosed down.
Mm.
Ooh.
The first time I saw that, now I gotta ask, what
Mm.
was your mindset and what was your preparation, knowing that you had to go into something like that?
I honestly during that scene, um my heart was hurting for women in general, who
Mm,
anyone in general, um who had ever gone through, and going through any type of point to where you're taken into situations that you don't deserve. Nobody deserves to be in situations like that. And I think all of that started sitting with me, especially during the first one, Mimi, before you said, okay, transition. Um, I was really crying. It was a very emotional scene,
Yeah.
because I can't even imagine, God forbid. And now, nowadays, not only are you looking out for your daughters, you're looking out for your sons,
hmm
even young boys are being held in these type of situations. So the first thing that resonated me was like, my God, like, this is really happening. Things like this are really happening today, right now. And I think all of that just started sitting with me. And uh, so it wasn't hard to tap into, because emotionally it was here in the heart, and we were taking those kind of things in and those perspectives in. Um, the real me wanted to be like, oh, I just want to fight, but you can't. You
Right.
got where you are and what you're doing, and why you're there. And then you also have to remember that this is really a message. It's a message, not just to one particular gender. It's a message to all people who are going through this. So that was a deep scene. That one really hit home. That scene hit home.
Yeah.
And why did
When
you
she was
decide to
so
write that?
accurate,
Why did you decide to write it that way?
because I wanted to make it real.
Mhm.
I wanted to go there and not without being restrained,
Mhm.
um, to show how hard and, tough it can be, because I have, a couple years ago, I had talked with the victim of sex trafficking, and I
Mhm.
remember some of the stories that she told me of, what happens, with her. So I really just wanted that to be real, like the fact that, you're being pulled up out of a cage and handed a bar of soap and told to get clean because somebody basically wants to buy you.
Mm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I wanted that. I wanted that emotion to be really, really felt. I wanted the audience to, to feel that, like how hard it was for her, because otherwise because that's her, it's two stories in one. It's her past and it's her present. Because if I wouldn't have put her through that, her flip wouldn't make sense because
Mhm.
she really, you see somebody in the cage, but you really don't see them going through anything. So I had to
Right.
really put her through something, and you had to feel her. And I'm telling you, she handled that scene like a G. I was holding the camera, and she handled that scene. It's so powerful. I can't wait for the film to actually hit other streamers so I can then drop the behind the scenes just for this scene, because my camera was still rolling when we stopped the first time, and so it caught, I didn't even realize it caught a little bit of the conversation that I was having with her while I was still holding the camera and telling, and making sure she's okay, making sure
Yeah.
she's everything. She's like, no, I got this, I'm good. And she's just dripping wet. It was so crazy that she was dripping wet. She was ready to give her all. And when that eye started twitching, I was like, she is, you can see the flip right there, when her eye starts to twitch,
Yeah.
you can see everybody.
Yeah, and it was interesting because
Ooh,
again, when you shoot scenes like that, they're raw. And even though it's acting, if you're invested in it, it's real.
mhm.
Because when I was watching it, I looked, and here's the thing that's built into our DNA. Slavery is built into our DNA. So when you see certain things, it's a trigger.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
when I was watching that, I've never been enslaved. I've never had a situation like that, but my soul knows.
Yes.
So when you were being hosed down for the express purpose of being someone's plaything,
Yes.
it takes you back to when our women and our men were totally powerless to do
Yes.
anything about a situation like that.
Yeah.
Because that
And
was sex trafficking and slavery on a massive
oh,
scale.
yes. Yeah.
Eh,
Oh,
eh,
absolutely. And that's what I was trying to capture, that
mhm,
to evoke
Mhm,
all of that.
mhm.
right.
That's exactly what I was going for. So I'm glad that you
Yeah.
recognized that, and I'm glad that it did. My goal was not to trigger people this whole entire movie, but I had to have some moments in there so you got it and you understood how deep this was,
Mhm.
because it's not just about this one person. I was trying to evoke everyone who have ever had to endure this.
And I that's the one thing I'm absolutely going to say you did a phenomenal job doing that, because that's what we felt when in that moment. I was like, you know what, this has to be done, because this is not just geared for one person. This is happening to multiple types of. This happened to our people in the past. This is what was happening. This is just a piece of what was happening,
Mhm.
and bringing all those emotions. And I can't think of the statue right now, but I remember being in that scene of seeing this statue, and I'll come back to the name of it in a minute. And it made me really just kind of tap in a little bit, eat further into this scene. Um, and I'll come back to the statue that I'm talking about. It's a voluptuous woman statue. I can't think of the exact name of it, but I don't know why
You
that
talking about Sarah Bartman?
yes, I do not
Okay.
know why that
Yeah.
image popped into my mind at that moment. But I think just the auctioning, and then being watched and being hosed down and being triggered and being told to do this and not being able to move or have power to walk away from it. Those were some things that were also being tapped in that moment as well.
And that's why I made it a conscious decision, the way that we shot it, that the cage was still behind you, that we
Mhm.
didn't remove you from that. I still wanted to
Mm,
show that that cage was there.
Yes.
And even though she's here, I didn't want to take her out away from that to show captivity still.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know what? And interestingly enough, even when you escaped, you were still imprisoned because you weren't imprisoned mentally. So
Mentally.
you
Yeah.
you escaped the physical cage, and now you're in the mental cage. So you had a lot of metaphors going on, and I don't know if it's the filmmaker in me that was catching a lot of this stuff,
Yeah.
but a lot of things were going on. But let me ask you about the film set when you were filming, some of the scenes, because of course you had the henchmen, and they were of course nasty. So what was their, as far as their reactions when they had to do some of the things that they did to some of these women, the scene in the cage, um the other scene with the brother where he was doing some things that he shouldn't have been doing. I'm being a little cryptic, ladies and gentlemen, because again, I want you to go rent the movie so you can see it for yourself. But with him, and then the boss comes out and confronts him. So
Mhm.
what was the mindset of a lot of the men on your film set, knowing that they were going to be depicted in a not a very good light?
Marion, who played the boss lady in there. She just
Oh,
yeah,
Marion. Okay,
yeah.
Marion, I see you.
Yeah,
Very.
she was saying it was very tough for her, and because everybody wanted to do a good job, and
Mhm.
everybody wanted to take the care. And I loved how everyone who had to interact with Tanisha, and also Kathy, my business partner, she's in the chat too. She also was the other woman in the scene with her. A lot of people didn't recognize that
The
was
girl
her.
that handed
That
her
was
the piece.
Huh? No, 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 no. She was also a trafficking victim laying on the stage with her, the girl that got tossed in the cage.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes,
Okay.
that's actually my business partner.
Oh damn. Okay.
So the care that everyone was taking with them to make sure that they were okay, that okay, I'm gonna do this, are you okay with me doing this? And were like, okay, let's go, let's do this. Everybody was so cautious
Yeah.
about the things that they were doing. It wasn't a laughing matter. It wasn't any of that. Everybody was very, very cautious in it in order to pull it off. It was surreal, but as soon as we said cut, we had to crack jokes to
Yep.
lighten it back up. We had to,
Food
lighten the move back up. Snap out of it. Okay, let's go, have some fun. But it
yeah.
was very, very,
Yeah.
very, very tough
And what I loved
to
about
do.
it, I love that like on this set, like everybody was kind of okay with discussing boundaries and things like that. And I think everybody was just ready to jump in and do what we had to do. But everybody actually cared enough to say, hey, you got any boundaries here? Anything you want to do? Da, da, da. And even Mimi, even, on some of the shots you had to get, we'll talk about that, but some of the shots you had to get, and the director was like, are you okay with, with this? And if not,
Yeah.
what makes you comfortable? But everybody was making sure each other were comfortable the whole time. So
Yeah, because Floyd, I don't know if you noticed, like some of those camera angles where we were doing the POV shots, I literally whatever they did, I had to then get in and do.
mm-hmm,
Mhm.
mm-hmm, yep,
So, just making sure everybody, is okay. Look, I gotta squeeze in up on top of you now. You're gonna be okay. It was very, 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 very hard for me. And it's so funny because my DP Boise, at one point when I was getting in these positions, I caught him looking at me like, like I can't believe you're about to, because I wanted that up close feel for these
Right.
shots. I wanted to really make you feel it. So it was, yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
you did. Yeah,
Tanisha,
you
oh, I was gonna say, what happened? You went away.
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, she went away. Hopefully she'll be back. You were
you
saying?
did a beautiful job at just making sure the set was comfortable. I think everybody did, but you, Kathy, everybody was just so, because there were some intense scenes during this shoot, and everybody was just kind of checking on each other, you know. And
Yeah. So yeah, it was phenomenal. So let's talk about the dynamic between you and your mom. because that was a very interesting dynamic. And the one of the scenes that stuck out to me was the scene when you end up getting the promotion. I'll just leave it at that.
Mm-hmm.
And your mom kind of starts going in on you. And oh gosh, I can't say because your mom goes in on you. And then and then I see when you were talking to her, a shift.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that. Right? I'm so glad
I
you
hope
said
I'm not giving too much away. I
I
hope
mean,
I'm not
like I
giving too
said,
much away.
this character has layers, and she,
Yeah.
she's like a butterfly. Well, like from the caterpillar to the butterfly. So in that moment, you see that caterpillar busting up out of that cocoon
that.
or
Yeah.
whatever they're wrapped in. That burst was coming out. Like, look, I love you, but
So let's
so
talk about that.
It's
Let's talk about
yeah.
that. Because I saw, and it's interesting because you actually, and that's a great way to put it, Mimi. Busting out of the cocoon, Tanisha, because I saw your face transform.
Yeah.
So talk about that.
You know what? My mom gonna kick my butt, but she's watching. I love you, mommy. But growing up, there were some things like your parents always have your best interest,
Mhm.
and there are times when you just don't need to hear it, and you just don't want things being brought back up. So now don't get me wrong, my parents are the most supportive and loving people that I know. Oh my gosh, and there are times I don't want to hear it, and then later on I'm like, dang, they were right. You know.
Of course, the
Ooh,
parents.
all right. But that's what I had to take it to that scene, to be able to make that transition,
But
because going through all these different things and going through so much, and it's like, really, this is what I'm trying to get.
And
But
you know
she
what?
knew exactly when she was supposed to flip because we
Mhm.
even planned that out ahead of time.
Mm.
Exactly what scene number she needed to start her transition at.
Yes,
And I mean, it was designed all the way down into her wardrobe,
it's the
her
wardrobe.
transition, transitioning into another character. It was designed over there. So everybody, even though, when you're filming out of order.
Yeah,
So she knew exactly what scenes
I remember the page. I can't
that
say
that she was
page number.
that this is where she needed to elevate
Mm.
and change it up.
Change it up.
She's no longer being that perfect wife. But
Mhm.
But
she knew from the table read on.
On to where to do that. It was in the 50s.
but here
Mhm.
here is the thing that I really liked about it.
Hmm.
It was very subtle,
Yes.
and you really had to be watching to catch it.
Mm.
And if you weren't paying attention, it would just be like, oh, they had a disagreement and that's it. But it was like your body language changed, your face changed, and you kind of sat back and you got real. I can't remember what you said, but after you said it, your husband was like, "Oh, all right, we're gonna move on."
Yeah.
He was, we gonna move on from that.
I was
Um,
I remember the lines because that was something that we went over. Maybe was like, this is where. So we went over. We had a chance to go over that on our table read, and that was the direction that was given. So I was like, okay, got it, got it.
so let's talk about Justin. He was very interesting because when I'm watching it, I'm saying to myself, he's a little too comfortable
In me.
with her. And I really didn't understand the dynamic until deeper in the film when Justin's character was explained, because I'm saying to myself, I've been in corporate and I've never seen a dynamic like that
Mm.
until I found out what the dynamic was. So Mimi, why did you, because if I'm not mistaken, Justin was the other character later on.
Hey, hey, hey.
Oops, did I give away too much?
It's
See, I got to
cool, but
catch myself. Sorry,
yeah,
folks. You
Hey,
still got to go over
yeah.
it because you know what?
look.
They
But
still
they
got to
don't.
win it
But they
because they
don't
don't know
know.
what
But
I'm
I'm
talking
just
about.
stopping you before you get there. But
They don't know what
yes,
I'm talking about, so I'm waiting.
no, they were the dynamics is they were long, they had known each other for a long time.
Mhm.
And here's the thing, sometimes just because you've known people for a long time, you may grow and they don't change.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And but yet you're still trying to hold on to that type of friendship. And Justin sees her struggling and is trying to keep her on track, to try
Mhm.
to make sure she's not on CP time, to try to make sure she's, all of there, but it's overbearing at
Right.
that point. Justin is resisting her change. Justin is resisting the change. We know the change, but
Mhm.
Justin is fighting against it. Justin sees it.
Mm-hmm.
Justin absolutely sees it and is like, I need you to get your head back in the game. We can't fall apart now. Get into this meeting. Do this, do that. And it was, it's almost like that high-strung person that is like, whoo, I need you to do all this other stuff and then go, but they're not the person that have to do the work.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like I need you to be strong for me. Yeah.
Oof.
Okay. Okay. So
And let me tell you something else about Justin. We had another actor that was supposed to play Justin, another amazing actor. They
Mhm.
got sick.
Oh wow.
And the person that had to step in got the script the night before.
Are you serious?
The
Yes.
night before. And they even came, because we didn't have enough time to gather their wardrobe together, because the other person that had the wardrobe, they were completely different sizes. This
Mm.
person came with the wardrobe.
I mean,
Our wardrobe person, Terry, she sent the boards to them for what she's looking for. They
Mhm.
showed up with everything that matched because they had the color palette. I mean, this person pulled from their closet to have it because we didn't have time to go and replace. And so when I say them stepping in to this, they were so, every time we said cut, they were so nervous and wanted to make sure they were doing a great job. And even on them scenes where he and Olivia didn't get along,
Mhm.
at first he was overly cautious, and I'm like, no, you hate her, give it to us. And so he would, but it was just a thing. I just want to give a big shout out to Eric, because getting the script the night before and how heavy that role was, and everybody else had built a relationship,
yeah.
on the set. They had weeks,
To adapt.
to work with each other, to rehearse and everything. He didn't.
Yeah.
But he came in, he's a theater actor. He
Mhm.
never had this was his biggest role.
Oh wow.
So
Yeah.
coming in and doing that, like I said, he did a phenomenal job. I have to take out some of my eye, but I
He's
have to say that he did a phenomenal job for that,
so
getting the script the night before.
so easy to work with. He was just so easy to adapt to, period. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. So as I'm watching, I'm noticing that you now, ladies and gentlemen, anyone that is a filmmaker that is going to be listening, I want you to really listen to what I'm about to say next, because it's so very important. I'm watching this film and I noticed that Mimi was wearing I can't, no, it wasn't Mimi. Someone else was wearing a shirt, Keeping Secrets. So I
Me?
turned to my wife. Oh, that was
And
her.
we always do. I had those shirts,
Mhm.
but we always do product placement within our films
Yes.
from our other
That's what I
films.
want to talk about, because, ladies and
Yeah,
gentlemen, so I turned to my wife and I said,
when the
that's another
film
one of her
first
films.
starts, she
Yeah.
has on when the film first starts, she has on the Keeping Secret shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I turned to my wife. I said, that's one of her movies. And then when they're watching television, they're watching one of her movies.
Mm-hmm.
So talk
Yes,
about that.
absolutely.
Talk about the importance of putting yourself on and giving yourself a shout out.
I mean, because why am I going to give someone else the shout out when I can give it to myself? I
Mhm.
already have other films. why not promote yourself? I'm proud of the works that I have done. I'm very proud of that. And it was very fitting for this movie for that to be playing, because keeping secrets is an underlying theme in this.
Yes.
So it is just, just that, give yourself that pat on the back. You made it, you did it. And it's advertising. I mean, it's marketing, as filmmakers, we have to be about the business as well of marketing. It's a business. And so that was very strategic to do that. We knew it going in, we knew exactly where we were going to do it. It wasn't done on the day. We knew exactly when and where those moments were going to be.
That's brilliant.
So, Tinesha, your husband, that was an interesting dynamic. And see, I'm not going to give anything away, but I noticed that certain expressions were made by you and your twin sister, because in one of the scenes, I'm just going to surface touch it. I'm not going to go in deep.
Well, they're twins, so let's say that. So,
well, they're twins. So
okay.
I'm trying to see how I can put this without giving anything away. Okay, I'll just ask you this. In the one scene when you guys were being intimate, you and your husband, and then after that, you get that change in your face, and I have to ask, who was showing up at that particular time? Was it you, or was it the twin?
Ooh.
Because well, that's all I'm going to ask. Who was showing up at that particular moment?
Well, that's my twin, so it was us.
You know what? I was about to ask. So, okay, so let's go there for a second. So what you're saying is you guys were both there at the same time.
But hold on, let me explain it to the people, because I have me and my sister are Irish twins. We didn't come out the womb at the same time, but we look almost identical. We share some of the same mannerisms. Sometimes, even when I take a photo of myself, I see my sister and I laugh at myself and I'd be like, oh, that's Rashida. That's not me today.
Yeah.
So even though we're not there, we're there together.
We're there together.
Let me clean that up.
Okay. And so the lawyer, or the so you know what? I don't know if I don't know if I can ask this.
Let's go. I know how to flip it.
Okay, with everything that was going on with you, Tinesha, in the film, and going to certain places that you went to and meeting certain people, the one question that I have was, because there was a bar that you liked, did no one ever think to question why you were showing up, how you were showing up, and acting the way you were acting? Did no one ever question that, or because that's the one thing that I'm very curious about.
So you were curious about whether people have not,
right? Because again, you were going to a particular establishment, and you would meet some people.
Yeah.
So the question is, if that's your hangout spot, I'm sure it's other people's regular hangout spot. So was it a question of, oh, I know who she is, or was it in a certain part of town where you weren't known as?
Remember, she said it in the film.
Yeah.
When they were together, when they were both together shopping. She said, "Take me out south."
That's when, yeah.
Okay, I missed that part.
And because she complained, "That's out my way."
Yep, it's out.
Oh,
she said, "That's out of the way. I got to do this and then come back and all this other stuff."
Back to you.
She did it, but also the bartenders, when she first walks in, and both of the bartenders talk to her. They like, long time.
Yep.
What you been up to? Let me guess, sister problems, all that type of stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
See.
it's definitely the conversation is there, but
Okay.
it's subtle. It's not beat you upside the head.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I
then
missed
some
that
people,
part.
it's like, playing a game. Oh, this is what we're doing. Okay,
Okay.
we'll play
Okay.
along.
Like, okay, we'll play. Yes. Yes. Okay. This is how it is. Okay. We're here with you.
So the dynamic between you and your therapist,
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you.
I found that very, very interesting. So
Mhm.
there were some other things going on that you really don't find out until things get a lot further along in the film regarding your therapist.
Yes.
So what was the conversation when you guys are, in rehearsal and you're setting this up to basically have it to where no one kind of knows what's going on until you wanted them to? Because that one, I'm not usually blindsided, but when a therapist started talking and asking questions and saying certain things, I said, "Get the out of here." So
I love it.
what were the conversations like, when you guys were actually talking about how you were going to do your scenes, but keeping it in such a way that the audience, wouldn't be tipped off to anything until the proper time?
Mm. You know what? Oh, that's a good one. That's a good
I
question.
try.
I mean, that's a good question. I mean, thankfully, I'm telling you this. I'm thankful for the direction that we did have leading into those roles
Mhm.
because um mm, I mean some of the conversations that we had, that's a without giving it away.
Well, if you can't talk about it, don't talk about it. I'll ask you
No.
something else.
I'll clean it up. I mean,
Yeah.
the therapist, it's based on the one time that I went, to therapy in the military. The
Mhm.
Yeah.
lady obviously had a whole ulterior motive. You
Hmm.
know, they're digging for stuff, and it's not always to help you.
Mhm.
Right.
All therapists, I mean, I encourage people to get therapy, but it's not always, great for you. So that dynamic was there, but I held back in the script as well, so they couldn't give away too much.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
gave them just enough, to have it. But Nitia or Dr. Alexander always knowing that she had the upper hand.
Mhm.
Always knowing, well, yeah, knowing that. So her going into that, and I've watched them too, talking about it, and they would be like, okay, well, when you say that, I'm gonna do this, and I'm not gonna acknowledge you until you do this.
Okay.
They literally were, were working that out, because sometimes, Ava wouldn't even look at her.
Mhm.
She'll be off to the, she'd start. I think the first time you see her, Ava's sitting like this,
Yep. Often
not even
pay
like
her.
you don't exist to me.
Yeah.
And Nitia has to force her to even engage in
Mhm.
having a therapy session.
Yeah. It takes a while for her to even reveal anything or to even share anything
Hmm.
with. And yeah, yeah. But we did have a good chance to kind of vibe with that and sit with it and rehearse it for a moment. You
Yeah,
know,
because I noticed because when I was watching the therapist, I was like, well, this is an interesting therapist. She seemed like she seems a little upset as if she needs therapy herself. So
You think?
I was,
No.
yeah, I was trying to figure that out. I'm like, yo, why is she so? She kind of reminded me of the female officer in the movie. Because I'm saying, yo, what is going on? You
Yeah.
go there to ask the husband, some questions, and you know, she kind of was like, "I'm about to throw your ass in cuffs because you did it." And I'm saying, you don't even. What do you? Are you here to fact find, or are you here to basically be judge and jury?
mm-hmm.
But when people show up in real life, how they show up,
Yeah,
judge and jury.
yeah.
Yep.
They don't fact find. They jump to
Yep.
conclusions. They jump everything right away. they already made up their own little story about you in their head, and that's it.
Mhm.
And I can akin the Dr. Alexander. You know how like I watch a lot of true crime, and there are other people out there that like watch a lot of true crime. A lot of times you don't even care. They don't even care about the victim. I do, but they don't care about the victim. They just want the story.
Right.
And that's what Dr. Alexander gives off. Just give me the story.
Yep. Just tell me what happened. Just give me everything that I need to hear. Yep.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'm
Yeah,
like, give me
because
this so I can drug you up.
yeah, because I didn't feel any not not even sympathy, but there was no empathy.
Yeah. But I
Yeah.
wanted her to be like a real therapist, something that a lot of Black women and Black men have experienced when they go to therapy. That's one of the reasons why a lot of us don't go to therapy, because we don't get the people, even when they look like us.
Hmm.
Kinfolk ain't always kinfolk.
Right.
It's
Mhm.
it's a challenge, to get somebody to actually have that empathy for you. Instead of, okay, well, the book says I need to do this, this, and this, and if you step out of this, then okay, I need to give you this dosage.
Mm.
She
Yeah. I've been.
didn't care. And
Yeah.
I wanted that to be really, really real. That experience of going into therapy and not having a therapist that's 100% there for you.
Because I've been to, and I've had a situation where we had a class before, and I was at a therapist, and she was like almost triggering, like just like trying to press buttons. I'm like, goodness gracious, are you here to listen or point the finger at me the whole time?
Hmm.
What?
I'm gonna need therapy when I leave here.
Yeah, like I
Right.
think
You're worse off. You're
this.
worse off for it.
So
What did
I
I
want
do?
to. I'm sorry, please, Tanisha. I'm sorry.
No, I was like, what did I do? Like,
Yeah, like damn, you walking out of there like, well, wait a minute, dude. Does my insurance have to pay for that? You calling up Keystone like, yo, I don't know if I should pay for that session. I don't know what just happened. You know, like damn. But I wanted to ask you about Marion's character really quickly because she was interesting. Where did she come from, and why? Well, no, just where did she come from? You're gonna have to watch the film to. I can't ask the second part. Where does she come from?
Well, that background, what is worse for a woman being held captive than being held captive by a woman? That's worse to me. Like somebody that's supposed to be there for you, but that was my little dig right there at
Mhm.
feminism, because white feminism does not include us. We're often excluded, and we're also often the victims of it. It's we can get all our rights up over here, but you got to wait your turn.
Right.
So putting that in there when you see that first opening scene, when you see the other girl getting dragged in,
Mhm.
and you see that, but then that camera pans and you see it's
Yeah.
women on the couch.
Yep. Yep.
It's that's really 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 telling the story that anybody can be your abuser.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I really wanted to just show that how that's possible. And it was a metaphor for me to show how all white women are not our allies.
Oh, absolutely not.
Mhm.
Absolutely not. And sometimes it's worse because the wolf comes cloaked in allyship,
Yes, yes.
and you don't know it's the wolf until your throat's ripped out.
Mhm.
Exactly. And that's why it was so hard for Marion to do that role, because me and Marion are very close friends.
Mhm.
Marion has been with me filming since 2015.
Mm.
She was one of the first people that ever read one of my scripts,
Mhm.
Mhm.
that read anything. And she was the person that encouraged me, her along with Greg Lockett, encouraged me to be a director
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
told me that I can do this. So, and she's completely the opposite. She's an absolute ally, an absolute cheerleader, an absolute
Yeah.
all of that, for me and for us. So she had to dig deep to pull it off. And when I look at Fractured, I don't see Marion. I see an evil, hateful woman. I see an evil, hateful woman.
And
So
that's
she
who
did
you're
her
supposed
job.
to see. That's who you're
Yeah.
supposed to see. And
Yeah.
that's the beauty if you do something and you do it the right way. Because if you're doing it the right way, I'm not seeing Tinesha Lynn. I'm not.
Yeah.
You know, I'm seeing someone that's in distress, that needs help. I'm not supposed to see Tanisha. I'm supposed to see Tanisha when the credits roll. Then I say, damn,
Yeah.
Tanisha did a good job. But if I see Tanisha in that film, we got a problem. So if I had seen Marion in that film, there is a problem. And I think so many filmmakers, when they do film, the thing that they are not taking into account is story.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's first and foremost for me.
Well, we
I
talk
have
about
to
this all the
I have
time,
to tell a
Mimi.
good yeah, I have to tell a good story. It starts from the story.
Mm-hmm.
I have to give my actors something to build off of.
Yes.
I have to give something for everybody else. It starts with the script. You can have a beautifully filmed movie and it can be horrible.
Mm-hmm. You
The
right about
story is just not there. It's just not connecting. So, I work on building, those stories and adding layers and making sure, all the gaps are filled.
yeah.
And it starts with the story. I'm a storyteller first.
And I will say this, going back to Marion, I I didn't even realize she was the same person in a few. When I say just such a dynamic actress, I'm like, I didn't even realize that that was Marion in in different characters and throughout some of the work, because she just comes in and she just embraces each role that she takes. And I'm like, I had to go back 3 or 4 times, like, wait, that wasn't Marion? You know, no, it wasn't. And I was like, and it's only because of certain features that I realized that was her. But because
Yeah.
she comes in and she just takes these words and she just makes it hers, it was just beautiful to see her working on this project and then realizing that that was the woman who was on other projects that Mimi had written. Yeah, it
So
was.
so 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 I saw your cameo, Mimi.
Had to get my Stanley moment on.
I saw. I
But
said,
you know
okay.
what? No one knew that moment was happening.
I
No
did.
one
Remember I
knew.
called you.
I'm the only person that knew the moment was happening. No one knew the moment was happening. I just disappeared and reappeared.
Okay.
Floyd, I watching and I text her. I said, man, when did you get that shot? I just see the glasses right now. Oh gosh.
So you just popped
but
in.
yeah, I was in there, but I was, so when I disappeared, everybody was like, oh, okay. I was like, nah, keep rolling. Keep rolling. I'll be back.
It was absolutely hilarious. But
But wouldn't that happen in real life though?
yeah,
You think
hey,
about it.
yeah, because of the location that you
Yeah,
were in. So
yeah,
and a lot of places are now unisex.
yep,
So that is
yeah,
that is not a stretch that something
yeah.
like that would actually happen.
Oh,
But last question, ladies, because it was a phenomenal film. But I have to ask, what's next with this, or have you even thought about that?
What's next with this project, or what's
Yeah,
next
with
with?
Fracture.
Oh, well, with Fracture, I am definitely thinking about a part two. Um, because while we wrapped up everything, there are still some other things we can move forward with and explore. So I'm a note taker, so I've definitely been taking notes on where I want to go with the next part of the story. But like right now, it's on Amazon. We are waiting for it to drop on Tubi because Tubi for indie filmmakers, that is our bread and butter. That is, our money maker. They're big, they're paying indie filmmakers right now. So our goal is, wait our turn for it to get on Tubi and just really, really, really continue to push it and market and move and, do even more interviews, everything that we can to continue to push and tell, this story, because it has a lot of layers and it has a lot of, things in it, what stuff we didn't talk about, how long can you be this perfect Black woman that everybody says you're going to be? You're strong, you're a Black woman, you can take on everything. How long can you do that before you snap?
Mhm.
Right. Yep. Mm.
So Tanisha, what's next for you? What any projects lined up?
Yes, a few good projects.
Tell me.
I
You
can,
can talk about it. I mean, if you can't talk about it here, where can you talk about it?
I can
No,
tell.
I'll tell her to tell
This
it.
this
Yeah.
goes to 53 countries, so let's talk about it.
So I'm excited to be working on Ancestry with Mimi. So
Nice.
We film next month, so
filming and I'm so excited about that project. That's like my focus right now. Other than pushing some of the other films, I'm excited about Ancestry. So that's where my mindset is at this point and getting ready for it.
Okay. So
Yeah.
so talk a little bit about that. What is that film going to be about?
Mhm.
okay. Well, Ancestry is it is a horror.
Mhm.
I am a big fan of, like I said, I almost said Twilight. Oh my gosh, not Twilight. Why did that pop up out of look,
Twilight
because of
Zone.
something. Yeah, Twilight Zone, but no, Twilight, because I also have a vampire film coming too.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it kind of, yes, it kind of ran together. Nothing like Twilight, but vampire, that part popped in there. So yes, it is. I'm a big fan of like the Twilight Zone, Alfred Hitchcock, all those
Mhm.
older horror movies, and even Jordan Peele. Like, but this stuff for me, telling those Black horror stories. So it's called Ancestry because it's a big thing to go out there and find, finding your roots and all this other stuff now. But what happens when you find those roots and that ancestry used to be, or still is kind of racist?
Uh-huh.
Mm.
Mhm.
What
Yep.
what if they had a long legacy of, owning slaves and all this other stuff, and now, now they want to pretend to bring you into the fold. How do those two
Mm.
worlds mesh up?
Mesh
And
up.
what is the purpose
Yeah,
behind them
why you bringing
wanting
me in the
to,
fold?
Right.
yes, what is
Mm,
all that about? So yeah,
Okay.
we're
exactly.
exploring that, with some heavy themes, of course, in that, but it's a slasher.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm definitely looking forward to that. Please keep me posted because you guys are going to have to come back on and talk about it once it's done and it hits where it's going to hit. But this has been
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. So again, ladies and gentlemen, please visit Amazon Prime and rent Fractured today because it is a phenomenal film. It's got some twists and turns. It will have you going, It'll have you laughing, but it's also going to have you sitting there cringing. And
Yeah.
and you know what? As you should, because of the subject matter. Because of the
Yeah.
subject matter. If
Mhm.
it is not hitting you, then there may be a problem. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna say that.
Right.
So
If it's not hitting you, you may be a little bit
If,
fractured.
you know what I'm
right.
saying? If you ain't uncomfortable,
Right.
if you are not uncomfortable watching a lot of this movie,
Mm-hmm.
and let me say this, not uncomfortable in a way where you're like, I got to turn this off, but uncomfortable in saying maybe there's something that I could be doing,
Mm.
Right.
or and maybe that I could be helping in some way, shape, or form, and maybe you have a platform that you could bring, Tanisha and Omegia on to talk about, mental illness and sex trafficking and things like that, because at the end of the day, it's all about spreading awareness,
Yeah.
because these are issues that are out there. They're prevalent, especially among African Americans.
Mm.
There are things that we don't talk about that we need to. So this is a phenomenal film on different levels for different reasons. And it was an absolute pleasure talking to the both of you. So where can people find you guys?
First, Mimi. Go first, Mimi.
Okay. You can find me on all the socials at Mimi Keys and AFM Media. Um, That's where you can find me.
So
And
Mimi,
you
you're
know, you
gonna have
can
to spell that because people gonna be like spelling Mimi Keys all wrong. So spell that, please, so they can get it
oh
right.
yes. Memekeys. Mimi
There you
Keys.
go. Miss Lynn.
Bottle that. And for me, all social platforms, Tinesha Lynn, TINESHALYNN on IG, Facebook, Twitter, everything, TikTok. So Tanisha Lynn, not TA, not TU, TINESHALYNN.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. Make sure you go, and I'm going to say it again. Make sure you go and rent Fracture on Amazon Prime. It's a nice weekend movie that you could curl up with your significant other and have a good conversation after watching a phenomenal movie. And I hope that you guys have enjoyed this episode. If you have, please share it with your friends. And if you're on YouTube or Apple streaming, please subscribe, but also leave a comment because we love hearing from the audience what they liked, what they didn't like, or what they'd like to see more of. And as for myself, Floyd Marshall Jr., you can find me on all platforms under that name. But again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for everyone that joined us for the last hour and 5 minutes. We truly appreciate all of the audience. Marianne, Kathy, Hazel, Jesse. It was such an honor and a privilege and a pleasure to have you guys all here tonight. Look forward to having you again because Mimi is always on my show. And I love having her as a guest. You know who you like because you keep bringing them back. What's this, like your
Yeah.
fourth time?
I love
Yeah,
it.
we're getting up there. I
Yeah, I
love
think this
it.
is like your fourth time. So I think you're in the lead right now.
Hey,
Uh-oh.
I love it. We have great topics though, so I
Yeah,
love it and I
yes,
appreciate it.
yes,
And
we do.
I hope that I can continue putting out the films that meet your standard because we are hard on other films.
Girl,
So I
we
hope I
talk,
can
we
do that.
talk, we talk,
Yes.
we talk,
Yes.
we talk.
Yes.
But it is what it is. Because you know what it is? I just want to see people win. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm not criticizing, I'm critiquing. I want
Yeah.
to see you win. And if us giving you tips and pointers helps you get to that goal, then that's a beautiful thing. So hey, it is what it is. But ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you so much for watching A Conversation With, and I'm Floyd Marshall. I was joined today by the amazing Omega Mimi Keys and the incomparable Tinesha Lynn. And again, make sure you go and check out Fractured on Amazon Prime. And it's coming to Tubi, so keep a lookout for that. But do yourself a favor and support a filmmaker and go rent it on Amazon Prime first. And then when it comes on Tubi, even if you say, I don't want to watch it again, turn it on and go watch another TV in another room. That's how we going. That's how we going to
See
do
what
this.
those
That's how we got to do
strings.
this. That's how we got to do this. So, guys, thank you so much for joining
Thank
us on this phenomenal episode. And then I'll end it as I always do. Love this like a hobby, but treat it like a business. Have an absolutely amazing night. Peace.
you.